Namaste. Myself Jitendra Das. Today we will be discussing the topic time and motion study. This is one of the important topic which is to be understood from the managerial aspect, and we will be discussing time and motion study in relation to housekeeping department of a hotel. However, this can be utilized for any other department. So it is very important tool for all the management staff, especially if you want to develop the standard operating procedures and if you want to calculate the requirement of the staff. Let us proceed to the next slide. Now this time and motion study can be conducted whenever you want to study a new topic and you want to devise the standard operating procedure, or you want to calculate the requirement of staff for the first time. However, many a times time and motion study is also done to understand the problem, if any, in the existing activities which is being carried out in hotel on day-to-day basis in various departments. And whenever we do the time and motion study to understand the existing work, then we call it as work study. And that is the basic difference between time and motion study and work study. But either it is time and motion study or work study, we do two things as the name of the topic itself suggests: time study and the motion study. As you can see on the screen also, under work study, method study, which is also called motion study, and the second one is work measurement, which is known as the time study. So it is study of time and the work. Let us understand this through the history. History of motion and time study. Here you can mention why this particular slide is having motion and time study, whereas previous slide was having heading of time and motion study. So motion and time study or time and motion study can be used interchangeably. Here in the history we can find out first the second line or the second point, where there is a indication of Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor in 1881 developed time study, and his full name, as you can see on the screen, is Frederick W. Taylor. And later on in 1885, Frank B. Gilbreth and Lillian M. Gilbreth developed motion study, and hence 1885 onwards the study got converted from time study to time and motion study, and it got upgraded. And that is the reason in our title we have used the word as time and motion study, because time study was invented in 1881, whereas motion study was invented in 1885. But this study is also known as motion and time study. Let us proceed to the next slide to further understand about the motion and time study or the time and motion study. As you can see, to do a time and motion study, several staff members perform the same task. These movements are studied and clocked. Clock means you note down the specific time and distance moved during the activity or during the task in a register. The results are compared and an analysis is made on how long it takes on average to complete the task. So this gives you an average time to complete a given task, which helps us in calculating even the requirement of the staff and also discussing about the standard timing taken to service a guest room or do a bed making or any other activity or any other task. Now, from this, the best practice can be defined, adopted, and implemented. And this is how it helps the housekeepers, the other managers of various departments to decide the best practice and the time taken to complete that particular task. Let us proceed further to understand this in still better way. If these best practices are used by all the employee of the department, performance will be more standardized and predictable. So by doing this, we also ensure the standard of the hotel. And all of you know the standard of any organization always helps in maintaining the brand standards, and that is why it is very important. The most complex and meaningful manuals are those that are based on actual time and motion study of each housekeeping position, and if the study is done for other department, it can be for other departments as well. These are quite lengthy since they not only break each position down into every single function but also break every single function into every individual action that comprises total function. That means you have to break down the activities, the task to the minimum level, to the downmost level possible so that you don't miss out noting down any activity which takes time or in which the distance is moved. Now, we'll also try to understand this from the quantity and qualitative aspect. Time study is a quantitative analysis leading to the establishment of a time standard, whereas motion study is a qualitative analysis of a work station leading to the design or improvement of an operation or activity. So, as all of you know, time says how much time. That means it speaks about quantity. How much time is taken to make a bed in a guest room. So, it is about quantity. Whereas motion study says quality, how it is to be done. And that is the two things. Those are two things which we should always understand whenever we are doing time and motion study, that time study is a quantitative analysis whereas motion study is a qualitative analysis. Let us understand this further. Both time study and motion study resulted from the integration of concepts and practices developed by H. W. Taylor and by Frank and Lillian Gilbreth, concerned with the systematic analysis and improvement of manually controlled work situations. So, I stress here, you need to understand this particular thing here, that the analysis are for improvement of manually controlled work situations. And since we are talking about, say, for example, bed making in housekeeping department of a hotel, bed making is done manually. Suppose you service a guest room in a hotel, servicing is done manually. So whenever you do a works and time study, that is time and motion study, you do it for the activity which is controlled manually. And this is the important note which all of you should take. Now let us proceed and understand time and motion study through example. One of the example, as you can see, which appeared on your screen now, chapati making. Now suppose you have a chapati making machine where it is chapati is made by a machine. Definitely there is also involvement of a human being, but this is just an example from kitchen to make you understand. So if you want to purchase a chapati making machine, you go to a shop or to the manufacturer and you ask how many chapatis can be made in, say, 1 hour time. That means you are asking about the performance and productivity. How many chapati, what will be the quality of the chapati, and in 1 hour how many chapati. So that is example of how the time and motion study helps you to decide what will be the quality and quantity of your product. Second example, you might have seen if you go to a restaurant or a hotel, in menu card they will indicate the serving time and then say, suppose they may say that if you have to serve a scrambled egg, it will take say 10 minutes time. You might have seen they say if you want a soft boiled egg, it will take say 5 minutes time, but if you want a hard boiled egg, it may take 10 minutes time. So all these are based on time and motion study, but this example, as you know, it is from food and beverage service department. And now the third example, which is related to housekeeping, time for servicing guest room. Say you have vacant room, you have occupied room, you have departure room. So how much time is taken to service a guest room? If vacant room, maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes, depends on the standard of the hotel. That you can decide wherever you are working as a housekeeper or as a management employee, how much time is to be taken, and how you can decide that on the basis of time and motion study. So we have seen the examples. Having seen the examples, let us now understand about the study as how you decide when you need to carry out time and motion study. And here we can see it is in relation to the existing work. So this is example of how to decide time and motion study for the existing work, and you call it as work study. Now, are the costs too high? Is there a problem? Why is there a problem? How can it be solved? Which alternative is better? Choose the best alternative. So these could be some of the points on which you can decide about the requirement of time and motion study. Now let us come to work study. Work study may be defined as one of the management techniques which can be applied to achieve the optimum use of the resources available to an establishment for the accomplishment of the work it is engaged in. Now, work study comprises of two aspects, as also seen in the second slide. Work study has got method study to improve the ways of doing the task, and the work measurement to establish the time required for the task. So let us proceed to the next slide and understand it through a diagram, through a chart. So you can see work study has got two different wings, method study and work measurement. Work study is done to improve the ways of doing work, and work measurement is done to establish the allowed time for the work. And if you do this properly, it will give high productivity. So ultimate aim is high productivity, which also helps in maintaining the standard of any organization. Work study is a good combination of both time and motion study, which results in success or higher productivity, which we have seen in previous slide. The aim of the work study is improved working conditions for the worker. Second point, most economical and effective use of machinery and stores. Third point, effective use of human work. And fourth point is evaluation of human work. So these are the aim of work study. Now let us proceed to the next slide and let us discuss about the method study separately, which is the left part of the chart we have seen in work study. What is method study? This is detailed analysis of the present method of carrying out a task as a basis for improvement. Method study aims at the improvement of the work conditions, layout and installation of workplace, working procedure, use of material, equipment and manpower, and the fifth point is design of equipment or the end product. So all these are completed, covered and conducted during the method study. So you do the things practically and then you try to understand it, you try to analyze it. Let us see this work study. And in this work study, through chart, we'll understand the method study. So method study is done to improve the ways of doing the work. Now, the things that you need to consider as a manager while doing work study is human consideration, economic consideration, technical consideration, and the reactions of whom? Both the employee and the employer, and most importantly the customers or the guests. And then you have to understand the desirability of the established. That means whatever you have decided, how it is going to help the customer, the establishment, the employees. So what you should do? What you should select? The job to be studied. What next? You try to record all the data available. Then you examine each fact critically for the purpose. Then you develop the best available method. Then install the development method and maintain the installed method. So if you do this, your method study, that is the left part of work study which we discussed through the chart, is complete. Now, let us understand the right part of work study, which is work measurement. So, work measurement is the assessment of the work content of a job by measuring the time taken to carry it out. The work study must be carried out at a specified standard of performance done by a person qualified for the job, and work measurement should follow method study. So it goes together. You cannot separate into it. Whenever you are doing the method study, you have to measure the distance and the time at that particular time itself. So it goes hand in hand together. Work measurement pertains to a specified, well-defined method of doing the work. And that is what we have discussed in this particular slide. You can see it in the chart form. So work measurement: select the task to be measured, define the method of doing the task, break into smaller elements, and then measure the work that is involved. So if you follow this process, you complete the work measurement. Now let us come to this particular slide where we'll discuss the format. Suppose you want to do a time and motion study, how you should do it. We will see the format of bed making. So let us see. If you want to draw the format, you have to write the area, starting time on the right hand side. Task is bed making, as you can see it is mentioned here. Then completion time, name of the employees, those who are doing it, and total duration. It is not compulsory that this should be the only format, but more or less these should be the content whenever you want to design a format for time and motion study. So you need to write serial number, and as you can see here, we have broken down or divided the task into 4 different major tasks. And what are the tasks? Entering the guest room, stripping the bed, making the bed, and inspection. And then finally, each of these steps has been further divided into subtasks, which includes the movement and delays and all. And in this way, you have to write 1, 2, 3, all these steps for entering the room. Then you have to write all these steps for stripping the bed, all these steps for making the bed, and all the steps for inspection. And then we have to put symbols here. We'll discuss about symbols in the slide to come. And then after starting this, you'll note down the task and all. You'll put it answer. Then you'll write how much time is taken to complete that task. And if there is any movement, if the person is traveling, in that case, you write down the distance and then remarks if any. So each steps will have a symbol and each steps will take some time. So you have to definitely mention the time here. If there is a movement, a person is moving from one place to another, you will note it down here. If not, just you can leave this column blank. So in this way, we have discussed about the format. if you are asked to design the format, how you will be doing it. The same thing can be done for servicing a guest room. If you are in F&B service, you want to know how much time is taken to serve a particular item, you can do it in food and beverage service department. If you want to know how much time is required to cook a particular food, you can do it in kitchen. Similarly, if you want to know how much time is required to complete filling up a form, say registration form in front office department, you can do it there. So you can apply time and motion study in many departments. Now let us see how and what are the symbols we use and how we use the symbol and where we use the symbol. You have seen in previous slide. In format, you can put it symbol so that it is easy for you to quickly note it down when you are practically doing time and motion study. So you can put this symbol for operation, this symbol arrow mark for transportation or movement. You can put a square for inspection. You can put this symbol for delay or temporary storage. You can put this symbol for storage. You can combine activity as well. So inspection and then movement. And in this way, if you want, you can design your own symbols as well. This is just an indicative. These are just the symbols which indicates that these are the types of things which can be used. It is not compulsory that you have to use only these symbols. You can select other symbols as well. And now let us conclude whatever we have discussed in the video today. Work study is the generic term for those techniques which are used in the examination of human work. Please take a note of it. It is for the manual work in all its aspect and which lead systematically to the investigation of all the factors which affect the efficiency and economy. Efficiency and economy. We have discussed it while discussing work study in the chart form. Motion study is a part of method study where analysis of motion of an operator or work is studied by following the prescribed method, use of human body, arrangement of workplace, and design of tools and equipments. So we have discussed about the work study. Let us discuss one more slide where we'll be discussing about the time study. Time study is the fundamental technique in work measurement. The first step is to select the task with its performance method clearly defined. This method is evaluated practically many times by performing it. That means many staff will do it and then we take the average. The timing recorded each time in order to arrive at an average figure. So we'll recall again, work study has got method study and work measurement. Method study speaks about or deals with the motion study. Work measurement deals with the time study, and both these helps us in high productivity. On the right hand side, you can see one GIF image. Now this is just to remind you that this is about time and the movement. So it is moving up and down, left and right, and it is taking some time. However, the image which you see here is for a tire, which is not a manual work. So here, this is just to remind you that it is about the time and the movement. However, please make note of it. This image is not for the manual activity. So this is just to keep you reminding only about the time and the movement. So with that, we close discussing this particular topic. In our next video, we will try to discuss about the 6 different techniques for conducting the time and motion study. Till then, bye bye, take care, and wish you all happy learning.